My name is Marilyn Lockridge. I am 63 years old. I left the notary's office with a warmth in my chest I had not felt since the day Daniel and I bought our first little house together. The folder in my hand was heavier than paper should ever be, full of documents I never expected the bungalow he had paid off without telling me, the duplex in Selwood, the small cabin near Tillamook, and the savings he had set aside bit by bit. Knowing he had done all of this for me made my steps lighter. I wanted to tell Alyssa first. I thought she would see it the same way I did Daniel's last, quiet way of making sure I would never be alone or insecure. The house was unusually quiet when I reached the porch. Alyssa's car was in the driveway, and Evelyn's shoes were by the door. Neat as always. I imagined the two of them in the kitchen with the baby, maybe making tea, waiting for me to come home with news I had hinted about the night before. I pictured their faces brightening when I told them Daniel had taken care of me far more than I ever imagined. I opened the front door and stepped inside. The air felt still. My fingers tightened on the folder as I walked down the hallway toward the kitchen. I was already forming the words in my head, simple, gentle, nothing dramatic, just the truth. But before I reached the doorway, I heard them. Evelyn's voice was low, smooth, practiced. "You need to guide her," Evelyn said. "Once she signs the properties into the family trust, which, legally, she can choose to do or not, you can manage them on her behalf. She doesn't need that responsibility alone," Alyssa answered in a whisper, hesitant. "I just do not know how to bring it up." She seemed so excited about the appointment. "She will agree if you guide her," Evelyn said, "and once the paperwork is done, we should start touring assisted living options. She will adjust. They always do." My breath stopped in my throat. I stood completely still, one hand on the frame of the door, the other clutching Daniel's folder so tightly, my knuckles ached. They were talking about my future as if I were an item on a list, as if my life, my home, Daniel's last gifts to me, all of it belonged to them the moment I signed a paper. I stayed frozen, just long enough to understand every word. Then I stepped back quietly, heart hammering, realizing they had been discussing plans to manipulate legal documents without my consent. I was still standing there when something in me shifted, and the past, everything I had ignored, began to line up with painful clarity. I stayed in the hallway until their voices softened, then stepped back into the living room, pretending I had just come in through the front door. When I heard Alyssa say, "Mom," I answered with the same steady tone I had used her whole life. But inside, something was unraveling, thread by quiet thread. Seeing her standing there brought back the years when she used to run into my arms after school, her backpack bouncing, her breathless stories spilling out before she even reached the kitchen. That version of my daughter felt far away now, like a picture tucked too long behind another frame. It started after she gave birth. Evelyn moved in just for a week, and then another. And then she was suddenly in every corner of the house, organizing drawers, planning meals, correcting the way I held the baby. I remember the first sting clearly. I had leaned over the crib, letting my granddaughter wrap tiny fingers around mine. When Evelyn said, "Do not hover. You make her anxious," Alyssa didn't defend me. She just nodded and said, "Mom, maybe give her space." I had stepped back without arguing. Later, when I suggested taking the baby to the library story hour, something Alyssa and I used to love, Evelyn gently touched her arm. "You need rest. Alyssa, let me take her today." Alyssa, still under Evelyn's influence, nodded quickly without meeting my eyes. Little moments piled up. Evelyn insisting I should not drive at night anymore. Evelyn telling Alyssa, "Your mother forgets things. I will handle the schedule." Alyssa slowly repeating those lines as if they were her own thoughts. I began hearing my daughter's voice shaped by someone else's mouth. The real break came the night I offered to help with bills after Alyssa's husband lost his job. I placed an envelope with $200 on the table. Evelyn slid it back. citing that all financial decisions were now managed within the family unit, leaving me powerless to assist directly. She needs stability, not charity, she said. Let us handle finances from now on, Alyssa murmured. It is better this way. Mom, I told myself they meant well. I told myself families shift, that daughters grow up, that I should not take things personally. But standing there now, hearing their whispered plans echo in my head, the truth settled in a way I could no longer ignore. My daughter hadn't drifted. She had been pulled. Earlier that morning, I sat across from Mr. Dunn Hanley, the notary Daniel had trusted for years. He placed a thick folder in front of me with both hands, as if the weight of it mattered. Maybe it did. My fingers hesitated before opening it. Mrs. Lockridge, he said gently. Your husband prepared these documents very carefully. He wanted to make sure everything was clear if he was not able to speak for himself. I nodded, though my throat felt tight. Daniel had always been private about money. I assumed it was because we never had much. I never imagined he was protecting something. Mr. Hanley walked me through each page. This bungalow is fully paid off. He completed the mortgage in under 20 years. My head lifted. He never told me that. He was proud of it. Mr. Hanley said, but he wanted it to be a surprise. He moved to the next section. The duplex in Selwood. Both units are occupied. Income is steady. I blinked hard. Daniel bought that place 8 years ago. He said he used part of his inheritance from his uncle. A small coastal cabin appeared next on the list. I remember Daniel mentioning wanting a quiet place to breathe someday, but I thought it was just one of the dreams couples say out loud when they cannot sleep. He fixed that place up himself. Mr. Hanley added, told me it would be your retreat one day. My chest tightened. Love, loss, disbelief pressing together all at once. And lastly, he continued, a structured savings account of a little over $200,000. He set it up so you would have long-term stability. I closed my eyes. Why? Why didn't he tell me, Mr. Hanley paused. He wrote you a letter. He slid an envelope across the desk. Daniel's handwriting steady, familiar, unmistakable. I opened it slowly. Mar, I didn't want you to worry about money. I wanted you to feel safe, even if I could not stand next to you. Protect what we built together. Some people feel entitled to what they never helped create. Be careful, be strong. Live well. My breath trembled. The air in the room seemed to bend around his voice. I folded the letter carefully and placed it back inside the envelope. When I looked up, Mr. Hanley gave a quiet nod, as if he understood something I had not yet said out loud. I left the office carrying the life Daniel had prepared for me, and the warning he never got to speak. I walked into the kitchen with a smile so steady it surprised even me. Alyssa turned first, her face softening with relief. Evelyn's smile, sharp and quick, followed half a beat later. There you are, Alyssa said. How did the appointment go? I set my bag on the counter, careful not to let the folder inside shift. Routine, I answered. Just signatures. Nothing interesting. Evelyn's eyes flicked to my hands, then back to my face. Nothing about property updates, she asked lightly. A test disguised as curiosity. Not today. I said, they were running behind. Alyssa exhaled, almost disappointed. I thought you'd come back with good news. I forced a gentle laugh. The only good news is that I did not have to wait long. Evelyn tilted her head. You know, Marilyn, if you ever feel overwhelmed with paperwork, you can let us handle some things. We want to make life easier for you. The words brushed against me like cold fingertips. I appreciate it, I said, but I am fine. Alyssa stepped closer. Mom, you do not have to do everything alone anymore. I know. I reached for a glass in the cabinet, my hand steady even though my chest felt tight. But it was simple today. They exchanged a look, silent, practiced. full of meaning I pretended not to see. That evening, after they went upstairs, I sat on the edge of my bed with Daniel's letter. The paper had softened where my hands kept returning to it. His handwriting felt like a hand on my shoulder, warm, certain, urging me not to let fear decide anything. I read his warning again, slowly. Protect what we built together. Be careful. Be strong. I folded the letter carefully and placed it in my drawer. Acting hurt would not save me. Acting shocked would not change them. I needed to listen. I needed to watch. And I needed to wait until the truth showed itself clearly, without me pushing at it. Only then would I move. The next morning started quietly, too quietly. Alyssa stood at the counter flipping through a stack of papers, her shoulders tense. Evelyn hovered beside her, hands clasped like she was praying over a pot of gold. "Mom," Alyssa said, forcing brightness. "We wanted to show you something." Evelyn slid a glossy brochure across the table. Alyssa found this wonderful community in West Seattle. They have private rooms, on-site nurses, even art classes. It could give you peace of mind. I looked at the brochure but did not touch it. "I'm not looking into senior living." Alyssa rushed in, gentle but insistent. "Mom, it's not permanent. Just support. You've been alone a long time. And with the house being old," Evelyn added, "and costly to maintain." I raised my eyes slowly. "My home is fine." Evelyn ignored the edge in my voice. "Still, you should consider what happens if you fall behind on repairs. Roofs, plumbing, property taxes, they add up." Alyssa placed another document on the table. Trust papers prepared and printed, but Marjorie remained the legal owner and could refuse to sign. They were pressuring, not commanding. "Mom," she said gently, "this is a family trust. Everything stays safe this way. No stress, no confusion. You'll still live wherever you want, but decisions will be simplified." Evelyn chimed in softly. "Alyssa and I can handle the complicated things, so you don't have to." My fingers tightened around my mug. "Who drafted these? A friend of mine," Alyssa said, eyes darting away for a moment. "He said it's simple. You just transfer the properties, babe, and we take care of the rest." "And say," I asked. "You'd have input," Alyssa whispered, but her eyes didn't match the promise. Evelyn stepped closer. "Marilyn, we're doing this for your well-being. You shouldn't be burdened at your age. We're trying to help." I felt something inside me strain, like a thread pulled too tight. "You two have thought this through," I said softly. Alyssa's face brightened, hopeful. "We have. We can file the trust this week if you're ready." I folded the brochure, pressed it back into her hands. "Not today." Evelyn's smile thinned. Delaying decisions only makes them harder. Alyssa looked torn between her mother and the woman standing beside her. I stood, steadying myself. "I will think. That's all." Silence filled the room, thick and uncomfortable. They wanted urgency. I gave them time. That was my only power for now. I told Alyssa I had a dentist appointment. She nodded distractedly, already discussing dinner plans with Evelyn. It made slipping out easier. By 1 in the afternoon, I was sitting across from attorney Harper Linden in a quiet office overlooking downtown Seattle. She was in her 50s, calm, sharp-eyed, the kind of woman who didn't waste time on polite circles. "Tell me everything," she said, and I did Daniel's will, the properties, the savings, the whispering in my kitchen, the trust papers, the brochures, the pressure. Harper listened without interrupting, her pen moving quickly across a yellow legal pad. When I finally stopped, she leaned forward. "Marilyn, your husband left all assets solely to you. That makes every property your separate estate untouchable. No one can force you to sign anything. If you transfer ownership into their trust, you lose protection. I felt my chest tighten. They said it would make life simpler. For them. She replied. Not for you. Her certainty steadied me. We spent the next hour preparing what she called my backbone. First, she helped me open a new personal checking and savings account at a different bank, one Alyssa and Evelyn did not know. Move all rental income here, she instructed. Do not mention it. Next, we visited the bank vault. I placed Daniel's will, the property deeds, and Harper's drafted documents into a safe deposit box. When the metal door clicked shut, something inside me settled. Harper handed me a folder. This is your updated will. It protects your assets and names only people you trust. No one sees this unless you choose. I touched the folder carefully. Thank you. She gave a small, knowing smile. You're not powerless. Marilyn, you were misled. There's a difference. We walked back toward the lobby. Before leaving, she added, for now, stay silent. Let them show you who they are. Her words echoed Daniel's letter so clearly, it stunned me. I stepped outside into the pale afternoon light, feeling taller than when I'd gone in. Not fearless, but rooted again. Protected, prepared, and ready for whatever came next. I knew something was waiting for me the moment I walked through the door. Alyssa was pacing in the living room, clutching the trust papers. Evelyn sat on the couch, still and composed, like a judge waiting for a verdict. Mom, Alyssa said, breathing hard. We need to talk. I set my bag down slowly. All right. Evelyn folded her hands. We have given you space. We have been patient, but it is time to be realistic. Alyssa stepped closer. Mom, we cannot keep living the way things are. The duplex needs repairs. The bungalow taxes go up every year. It is too much for one person. I manage, I said quietly. Evelyn gave a light, dismissive laugh. You think you do, but Alyssa has been trying to help you for years. You cannot keep ignoring that. Alyssa's eyes flickered guilt, mixed with fear. Evan lost hours at work, she said softly. Money has been tight. And with Liam's daycare and the mortgage mom, you know we are struggling. There it was. The truth woven into the pressure. Evelyn leaned forward. If these properties were in the family trust, everything would stabilize. Alyssa and Evan could finally breathe. You could stop worrying about maintenance. Everyone wins. I kept my voice even. Except I lose ownership. Alyssa froze. Evelyn's expression didn't change. Ownership means nothing if it causes problems. It means something to me. Alyssa hugged the trust papers to her chest. Mom, please. Evan thinks this will save us. I think this will save us. So it wasn't just Evelyn. Stress had rewritten my daughter from the inside out. Evelyn stood. You raised a daughter who worries about you, and she raised a grandson who needs stability. Are you willing to jeopardize that because of pride? The room tightened around me. Alyssa whispered, If you love me, you will help us. Something inside me stretched thin, then snapped silently. Not anger, not fear, just clarity. I will not sign, I said. Alyssa's face crumpled. Mom, why are you being so difficult? Evelyn's voice sharpened. You are making a mistake. Maybe I was, but it was mine to make. Alyssa stepped back as if I had struck her. I wanted to reach for her, but Evelyn's hand appeared on her shoulder first, and my daughter leaned into it. I asked them both to meet me at Attorney Harper Linden's office. I'm ready to finalize everything. I'd said. Evelyn arrived first, wearing a bright smile that barely covered her triumph. Alyssa followed close behind, clutching her purse as though it were an anchor. Harper greeted us calmly. Please, have a seat. Evelyn didn't wait. We're here to complete the family trust. Marilyn finally came to her senses. Harper folded her hands. There will be no trust. Alyssa blinked. What? But Mom, you said I asked you here, I said quietly, because I want everything spoken clearly. Evelyn leaned forward. Then sign the trust and we're done. I will not sign anything. I replied, all properties remain under my name. New accounts are established. Legal protections are in place. No one can move anything without my consent. Alyssa stared at me, stunned. You already did all that. Harper nodded. Her estate is fully protected. No one can move, sell, or control any asset without her consent. Evelyn's facade cracked. This is ridiculous. She's being manipulated. No, I said, I heard you. The morning I came home from the notary, I heard the two of you whispering in the kitchen about getting me into a facility, about transferring everything into your names. Alyssa's lip trembled. Mom, Evelyn shot her a glare. Do not apologize, she misunderstood. I shook my head. I heard every word. Alyssa broke, then her shoulders collapsing, her voice small. I never wanted to hurt you. Mom, I didn't know what else to do. Evelyn stiffened, refusing to look at her. I choose myself, I said. From now on, I spent the next week at the coastal cabin Daniel had loved so much. The quiet hit me first, the kind that settles into your bones. I cooked simple meals, opened all the windows, and let the wind move through the rooms like it had been waiting for me. On the third night, I sat on the porch with a blanket around my shoulders, listening to the water, no whispering behind my back, no pressure, no guilt, just space. For the first time in many years, I slept without clenching my jaw. When I finally returned to Seattle, the house felt different, not threatening, just empty in a way that no longer scared me. A week passed without hearing from Alyssa. Then one afternoon, my phone buzzed with a message. Mom, can we talk? Just the two of us. I'm sorry for everything. I want to understand. Please. I sat down slowly. Her words were hesitant. Not guided by Evelyn this time. Not demanding, not pushing, just a daughter reaching out with whatever strength she had left. I typed a reply, erased it, tried again, erased it again. Finally, I wrote, yes, but only you. No pressure, no paperwork, just a conversation. She answered almost instantly. I promise. When we met at a small cafe near Green Lake, she looked nervous. Younger somehow. Mom, she whispered. I didn't see what was happening. I'm trying now, I know, I said. And we can rebuild, Alyssa, but I will not lose myself again. She nodded, eyes wet, and for the first time in a long while, it felt like a real beginning, not a surrender. Back home that evening, I stood by the window, letting the city lights settle around me. At 63, freedom didn't feel loud or triumphant. It felt steady. It felt earned. If you've followed my story this far, thank you for being here with me. If it moved you, like the video, subscribe, and stick around. There are more stories waiting for you.